let's talk City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. This first bit is going to be a non-spoilery bit about City of Heavenly Fire, just because I don't want to ruin anything for anyone who is not caught up with the series or hasn't even started the series. But I will say that everything that you love about Cassandra Clare's writing is going to be in this book. All her witty dialogue, all these amazing characters, and action sequence after action sequence after action sequence. This 725-page book is full of action. I will say this, if you haven't read The Infernal Devices, which is a trilogy in the Shadowhunter world, but with different characters in a different time, then do so before you read this final installment in the Mortal Instrument series. Just because a lot of things may be slightly spoiled for you. I haven't read The Infernal Devices, and I felt that a lot of things were spoiled. So that really ends the non-spoilery bit of this novel, because I really don't know what to say that doesn't contain a spoiler. The book is good, go read it. Now, you and I, we both know there's a lot of stuff that happens in this book. There's a lot of weird stuff that happened. And all of the weird stuff is because of Sebastian. The first thing that I noticed about this book is that there's so many POVs. There's so many people that we get to see through. We have Clary, we have Jace, we have Simon, we have Isabel, we have Alec, we have Magnus, we have Gia Penhallow, we have Emma, who will be featured in another series that is going to be a spin-off series from the Mortal Instrument series. And then we have the Seelie Queen, and we have Sebastian, and I'm missing. Oh, and Maya, of course. Now, let's get into those weird parts that I mentioned. Most of them, no, all of them have to do with Sebastian. But it was very interesting to see through the Seelie Queen's POV to realize exactly how close Sebastian and the Queen were. "Have you ever," said the boy in the bed beside her, "pricked yourself on one of the thorns, your majesty?" She turned to look at Jonathan Morgenstern, sprawled among the covers. Other parts of Sebastian, mainly just Sebastian himself, creeps me out. But mostly what creeps me out about Sebastian is his thoughts towards his sister, Clary. Now, everyone who's read the books and some of the previous books in this series knows that he's had these feelings for his little sister for quite some time, and it's very disturbing. Let me give you an example. "I know my sister," said Sebastian, "and not now, but soon enough I'll know her every way you can know someone." Ew. Next interesting thing about this book was that there was a lot of Emma Carstairs' perspective in this novel. It's really nice to see Emma's perspective. She actually grows on you so much. She is such a cute kid, and I can't wait to see through her POV when she's older and all the adventures that she's going to have in California, where her institute is. So we've reached that time in the discussion where we talk about deaths. The deaths that happened in this book. And there weren't that many. Honestly, Clary and her posse got out pretty good. The only person that really died that they had any connection to, really, was Jordan. And let's be honest, nobody cared. My heart didn't even twinge a bit when he died. And that sounds really mean when I say it, but even Maya, his girlfriend, was more upset that she didn't get to break up with him before he died than the fact that he died. And that's kind of sad. Just because there weren't that many deaths doesn't mean that you're not going to get extreme feels from this novel, because you will, especially because of the ending. So this is basically what happens. Clary pretends to accept Sebastian's disgusting offer to be his queen. And everyone filters in, and they're in shock, and they're like, "Clary, no, why would you do such a thing?" And nobody knows she's pretending except Jace, who's passed out because he was knocked into a wall by Sebastian. Clary then decides to give a kiss to Sebastian. I don't really remember how that went down, but I do remember that there was the mirage of a kiss for Sebastian, and as he's doing so, she shoves a sword into his heart that's infused with the holy fire. So Sebastian bursts into flames and he dies. Or at least Sebastian dies. The evil part that was Sebastian dies, and what is left is the shell that is left over with Jonathan Morgenstern just holding on for a few seconds towards the end when he's about to die, which is incredibly sad. And the way Cassandra Clare shows that to you is because his eyes change from black when they were Sebastian to green, which was the original color that Jonathan Morgenstern would have had if his father didn't decide to play evil scientist while he was growing in the womb. Really touching moment. But before he dies, Clary asks him, "Did you really seal the portal? Because we want to go home." And he's like, "Yeah, sorry, you're kind of stuck here." So now they're stuck in this demon dimension and they don't know how to get home. So what happens? Magnus has to call his daddy. And his daddy says, "Fine, I'll open up a portal and send you guys back to your home. But in exchange, Magnus, I want your immortality." Which doesn't really seem like that big of a deal until Magnus drops the ball and says, "If he takes my immortality, all my 140-ish years that I've been living will come rushing back to me and I'll die." So of course no one wants to kill Magnus. Everyone loves Magnus. All the readers love Magnus. And at this point I'm like, please don't kill Magnus. And behold, Magnus doesn't die. Simon volunteers. He's like, "You can take my immortality. I'm a daylighter, so that'll be something little extra in there. And I'm only 16, so all the years rushing back to me won't be that bad. It won't kill me." So Magnus's demon dad says, "Fine, but I also want all your memories associated with everyone you know from the Shadowhunter world." This is what Cassandra Clare did. When authors kill off one of your favorite characters, it's like they rip the band-aid off. Your boo-boo, it's gonna heal. You know, we'll get through this. It'll scab over and we'll march on through and we're gonna get through it. But when Cassandra Clare steals the memories of Simon and lets him live, and lets all of them live, but Simon won't remember anything, that's like ripping the band-aid off and then picking at the scab that you formed on your wound. The book doesn't end there though. The book ends with Clary and Izzy and Magnus visiting Simon to see if he remembers anything, absolutely anything. And when Clary goes up to him and you see this vastly different girl from what started, she has still her same red hair and she's still short and spunky, but now she has all these tattoos on her, so she looks kind of weird. And she walks up to Simon and Simon doesn't remember her at all. He hands her flyer for his band and she walks away disheartened. And then Izzy looks at the flyer and it says the Mortal Instrument Series as his new name for the band. So Magnus and Izzy decide to just bombard Simon with all of the information that he's missing. They basically walk up to him and say, "Hey, there's demons and vampires and warlocks and shadow hunters who are part angel, and they come and they defeat the demons and keep the world at peace. And you already knew all of this, you already knew us, but your memories have been stolen from you. So you can do one of two things. We can forget about it, we can just take this specific moment in time away from you and you'll go on your life as you have with no memory of what we just said, or you can ascend." That right there was when Cassandra Clare put a little bit of Neosporin on that boo-boo. The book then ends with everyone at Clary's mom's wedding, and it's a very bittersweet moment. And Simon actually shows up, and there's some cute moments with Simon trying to remember all these people who know him and are super proud of him and see him in such a heroic light. And my favorite was when Clary rushes up to Simon and says the following: "I don't remember everything he said, not yet, but I remember you." He brought her hand up, touched the gold ring on her right index finger. The fair folk metal warmed to the touch. "Clary," he said. "You're Clary. you're my best friend. That was absolutely my favorite moment of the ending of this novel. And the novel itself was amazing. It's an incredible ending to an incredible series, and I cannot wait to see what Cassandra Clare has in store for Emma and Julian and all of Julian's brothers and sisters in her spin-off series that takes place in California. So that's it for this video, and I will see you guys in a later video. Bye.